Vanakkam and Namaste. Here I discuss the evidentiary value of the 4 minutes long video recorded by the Sangi Muttuvel, which all the Sangis and the gaudy media falsely claim as a dying declaration, hence a clinching evidence for forced conversion. At the very outset, the viewers need to know that the Sangi Muttuvel neither had the authority nor the locus standi to interview the girl who was in her death throes. The video was recorded on January 17, 2022, just 2 days before the girl died. Since the Sangi Muttuvel is not related to the girl in any way, the following are very pertinent and logical questions. How did he get access to the girl? Who gave him the access? What is his motivation for making the video? Did he act on his own or at the behest of a communal organization? If he acted at the behest of a communal organization, which is that organization? What is the agenda of that organization? And what kind of work it is engaged in? Who is the head of the organization? And who are the members? What are their antecedents? Besides these, there are many more questions. The CBI, to which the case has now been transferred, should investigate the circumstances leading to the recording of the video by the Sangi Muttuvel and his motives for the same. And I hope that the investigating agency finds answers to all these and more questions. The video is 4 minutes long, but what the gaudy media focuses on is just a 44-second footage, where the girl is heard saying that the nuns approached her parents 2 years ago to seek her conversion. Most certainly, this statement was made due to the blackmailing by her stepmother, who is probably not intelligent enough to build a false story that would stand the test of law. This is most certainly is a reason for answering no to the questions whether she was prevented from keeping sentur on her forehead and whether there was any restriction in displaying her Hindu identity. Her answers to all such questions are in the negative. The Sangi Muttuvel and the stepmother are inept schemers. From the entire video, it is very clear that the Sangi Muttuvel is making a concerted effort asking only leading questions to get some incriminating statements from her mouth. The following fact is very important. Nowhere in the video she has said that she consumed poison on account of the alleged harassment meted out to her to force her conversion. The nuns have denied giving any menial work with a view to harass this girl so that she converts. This video and all her statements will have to be viewed under the light of the fact that the girl preferred to stay at the convent than going home for holidays. That her fees for the last 2 years were paid by the physical education teacher of the school. In the last 60 years of its existence, the school did not convert even a single soul. The last fact raises a logical question. Did the nuns find not a single soul in the last 60 years worth converting? Or did the nuns not find a single soul in the last 60 years with a family background similar to that of the victim girl? There is only one answer to these two questions. That is, conversion is totally out of the mission of the school. Bovines don't hunt. It is that simple. Understanding the concept of dying declaration requires an understanding of certain legal principles. Therefore, before I give the definition of dying declaration and explain the same, I need to explain what facts need or need not to be proved, burden of proof, leading questions, and the testimonies that can or cannot be admitted in evidence. Facts that need to be proved. Except the facts of which the courts will take cognizance of, and the facts admitted by the parties to a dispute, all other facts should be proved. Not a single fact in the present case comes under the category of facts listed in section 57 of the Indian Evidence Act, of which the courts will take judicial cognizance. Every fact, the existence of which the gaudy media and the sangis claim in support of their false narrative that the attempt to forcibly convert the girl led her to commit suicide, therefore will have to be proved beyond reasonable doubt. Burden of proof. The general rule is that whoever desires any court to give judgment convicting a person on the existence of facts which he asserts must prove that those facts do exist. There are exceptions to this general rule. However, none of the facts, the existence of which the gaudy media and the sangis falsely assert for their false narrative of attempted forced conversion are exempted from this general rule. Leading questions. Section 141 of the Indian Evidence Act defines leading questions as any question suggesting the answer which the person asking the question wishes or expects to receive is called a leading question. In the 4-minute long video, the Sangi Muthuvel asks 7 leading questions with a view to prompt the answers that he wished or expected to receive. Hypothetically, let us say the Sangi video is produced as a part of the prosecution evidence. Then, in essence, it is examination in chief. According to section 142 of the Indian Evidence Act, leading questions must not be asked in examination in chief. Since the Sangi video does not pass the test of section 142, it should not be treated as evidence. Testimonies that can be admitted in evidence. From a combined reading of sections 101 and 138 of the Indian Evidence Act and the judicial pronouncements on the same, the following principle is derived. No claim or accusation made by a person against another, either in writing, including affidavits, or in any electronic format such as audio clips, video footage, and computer files, can be admitted as evidence against the other without giving the latter the opportunity to cross-examine the former. In Ram Kumar versus King Emperor and Food Inspector versus James N.T., the above principle was stated in the following words. The testimony of a witness is not a legal evidence unless it is subject to cross-examination, and the testimony of a witness who is not cross-examined cannot be a basis of a judicial pronouncement. In Maganlal versus King Emperor, the same principle is put in the following words. No evidence affecting a party is admissible against that party unless the latter had an opportunity of testing its truthfulness by cross-examination. The Sangi video, if considered as a testimony of the victim girl, then under the light of the foregoing principle, it cannot be admitted as evidence because the girl cannot be cross-examined to test the truthfulness of her statement. Of course, this reason in itself is insufficient to reject the testimony. However, combined with other reasons that I will be listed here, the Sangi video is an inadmissible document. Having explained what facts need to be proved, the burden is on whom to prove the facts, leading questions, and what testimony can be admitted in evidence. Let me now explain what a dying declaration is, how it should be recorded, and then state what is the evidentiary value of the video which the Sangis and the gaudy media falsely assert as a clinching evidence. Definition: dying declaration is a statement, written or verbal, of relevant facts made by a person who is dead. Dying declaration is an exception to the general rule contained in sections 60, 101 and 138 of the Indian Evidence Act. Therefore, strict conditions are imposed for admitting dying declarations as legal evidence. Although there is no restriction as to who can record a dying declaration, the circumstance under which it is recorded is a material fact for deciding its evidentiary value. In Ramavati Devi versus State of Bihar, it was held that there is no requirement of law that a dying declaration must necessarily be made to a magistrate. What evidentiary value or weight has to be attached to such a statement must necessarily depend on the facts and circumstances of each particular case. For example, a person is subjected to a place far away from his or her residence, fatally assaulted and left to die there, and a stranger happens to pass by the victim and records the statement of the injured person before he or she dies. Such a declaration cannot be rejected. Conversely, for example, an assault victim is treated in a hospital for over 10 days, during which time there was ample opportunity for a magistrate to record the victim's statement, but on the 8th day, a stranger records the statement of the victim in a dubious manner and under a suspicious circumstance, then it is not at all a dying declaration. This is the case with the video recorded by the Sangi Muthuvel. Procedure for recording dying declaration. Recording dying declaration on a prescribed printed pro forma is preferable. It would be desirable that this pro forma should be in the form of a double sheet of paper, the outer jacket being printed. The jacket shall, in the first instance, contain the brief particulars of the case, the name of the victim, the name of the police officer who is investigating the case, the name of the scribe, and more importantly, the name and designation of the person recording the dying declaration. Below this, the form shall indicate the name of the doctor who is in charge of the patient, the time and date when the request was made for recording the dying declaration, and sufficient space shall be kept below this for the certificate from the doctor. There shall be a note on the form indicating that the doctor shall examine the patient and the case papers and shall, in appropriate cases, certify that the patient is in a fit condition physically and mentally to understand questions, to answer them, and to make a statement giving the true account of the manner in which the injuries were sustained. Now, I discuss the evidentiary value of the video which the gaudy media falsely asserts as dying declaration under the light of 14 relevant and important judicial pronouncements. 1. It would be difficult to accept a dying declaration where there was no certification by the doctor regarding the mental and physical condition of the deceased to make dying declaration. A dying declaration recorded in a dubious manner would create grave doubts to the genuineness of the document. Audio clips, video footage, and computer files are documents. 2. A dying declaration must be true and voluntary. The video in question is neither true nor voluntary. 3. The possibility of the victim being in a state of delusion while giving statement will vitiate the dying declaration. In this case, the possibility that the victim was in a state of delusion while answering the questions of the Sangi Muthuvel cannot be ruled out. I will discuss the issue of delusion in another video. 4. A dying declaration must not be the result of tutoring, prompting, or imagination. Reliance cannot be placed on a dying declaration given in consequence of tutoring and brainwashing. The Sangi video was tutored, prompted, and forced. We may also add and say that it should not be the result of blackmailing. 5. Where a dying declaration is suspicious, it should not be acted upon without corroborative evidence. The video in question is not only wrapped in suspicion but also a complete fabrication. 6. A dying declaration must be recorded in accordance with the law, and no leading question should be asked while recording the dying declaration. In contrast, the video in question is a forced extraction fabricated to falsely implicate a Christian institution and create communal disharmony between different faith communities. As such, it is perilous to act upon it. Earlier I said that the video has 7 leading questions. Number 7. The procedure for recording the dying declaration must be extremely strict. First of them is that there must be 100% satisfaction that the injured person was in a fit condition both mentally and physically to understand questions, answer them cogently and correctly. The difficulty with which the girl answers the questions asked by the Sangi Muthuvel is a material fact because it raises serious doubts as to the physical and mental fitness of the girl to answer his questions. The girl answers most of the leading questions in the negative. That is because she was not tutored on those points. 8. A dying declaration must be certified by the doctor who treats the victim. The certificate must be superscribed on the document itself as a safety precaution. It is necessary that the certificate is contemporaneous. In our case, there is no certification by the doctor, leave alone the condition that it be contemporaneous. Further, it would be desirable for the doctor to certify after recording was complete that the condition of the victim prevailed right through the period of the time when the statement was recorded. Since the Sangi Muthuvel recorded the video surreptitiously, it does not have such certification. 9. Before proceeding to record a dying declaration, an application or a letter of request needs to be submitted to the doctor concerned for recording the declaration. The Sangi Muthuvel flouted this condition. 10. A dying declaration is only a piece of untested evidence and must, like any other evidence, satisfy the court that what is stated therein is the unalloyed truth and that it is absolutely safe to act upon it. The Sangi video is an unalloyed fabrication. 11. Where there are more than one statement in the nature of dying declaration, the one first in point of time must be preferred. In our case, the first dying declaration was recorded by a magistrate, hence that must be preferred. 12. Above all, the victim must be the only witness to the crime for dying declaration to come within the ambit of the Latin maxim nemo moriturus pessimiter mentari, meaning a dying man will not meet his maker with a lie in his mouth. In this case, if the victim girl had really been continuously harassed by the nuns to force her conversion, it could not have happened in secret without any one of the 100+ students in the hostel being witness to such a crime. 13. Though a dying declaration is entitled to a great weight, it is worthwhile to note that the accused has no power of cross-examination. It is for this reason that the dying declaration should be of a nature as to inspire full confidence in its correctness. Contrary to this principle, the sangi video inspires only distrust. 14. In cases such as the present one, a request needs to be made to a magistrate for recording the dying declaration, and a request will have to be made to the doctor concerned seeking his permission to record the same. In this case, did the victim girl or the police request the Sangi Muthuvel to record her dying declaration? The answer is no. Then who made the request? The answer to this question is a material fact. From the nature of the video, it is clear that the girl didn't ask the Sangi to record the video. On the contrary, it is absolutely clear from the video that the Sangi Muthuvel is forcing her to make incriminating statements against the nuns. The Sangi video, therefore, was recorded in violation of the 14th condition. These 14 conditions are not exhaustive. There are many more conditions. Now, section 60 mandates that all oral evidence must be direct. Although the Sangi video fulfills this condition, it is subject to sections 101 and 138 of the Indian Evidence Act, under which to admit the testimony of the girl as a legal evidence, it must be subjected to cross-examination. But a dying declaration is exempted from this condition. It is for this reason, that is, to take the video out of the control of sections 101 and 138 of the Indian Evidence Act, the Sangis and the gaudy media falsely call it as a dying declaration. Since the video, as I explained so far, does not fulfill any of the 14 conditions that I have listed above, as well as the procedure laid down for recording dying declarations, it cannot be taken out of the ambit of sections 101 and 138 of the Indian Evidence Act. To sum up, every false allegation that the girl committed suicide on account of the harassment that she was subjected to force her conversion must be proved. The burden is on those who make such allegations. The Sangi video is a fabrication for creating communal disharmony for political gains, and it cannot be taken out of the ambit of sections 101 and 138 of the Indian Evidence Act. It was recorded in violation of the procedures, and that it does not fulfill the 14 conditions for treating the same as dying declaration. The Sangi video, therefore, is not a dying declaration. Consequently, its evidentiary value at best is negligible and at worst is nil. Thank you for watching this video. My name is Deva.